Hey YouTube! So this is gonna be the first in a long line of reviews that I have been putting aside because I'm in college and I have to focus on college stuff. So um, to start off, I'm gonna start with probably the easiest one to review, Beyond Two Souls, which I've been a video game which I've been looking forward to ever since I heard about it, and also because two things. I like Ellen Page. She's one of my favorite actresses, and also because I'm a fan of a Heavy Rain, and hearing a game that's kind of like Heavy Rain, but it's expanding. It's not just. It's more focused on like supernatural elements aside from just like a norm. Like Heavy Rain was really like normal-ish. So I was kind of curious what Quantic Dream would come up with when they try to make a story that was very supernatural, very different, you know. Um, so the short review for okay, I'm first off, I'm looking at my notes. So if it looks like I'm reading something, I'm reading my notes, right? Short review. Beyond Two Souls was interesting. Like it wasn't necessarily bad. It sounds like I'm gonna say it's bad. It's not. It wasn't bad. But at the same time, I feel like it had problems. Like say what you will about Heavy Rain, you might not like this kind of like gameplay or stuff, but I feel like a strong point for Heavy Rain was that the story it told it was very believable and it was like what am I trying to say? It was very like they didn't try to do like weird stuff to it. Like they kept it grounded. That they're trying to tell a mystery story. They're gonna pull not gonna pull any like weird like twists. There are gonna be twists, but it's like it's believable in the context of the story. Beyond Two Souls is different. I feel like they were trying to push the you what they could do for the game, and that works and doesn't work in some ways. Like I feel like since the game is not non-linear, I feel like the story was good, very good. When starting with Jodie, that's Ellen Page's character, Jodie as a child and Jodie up to teenage years. Everything be after teenage years was it's hit and miss. Like I say this game is I guess average at best. Like I hate to say that, but there are a lot of strong points, but there are also a lot of negative points. Now that's my short review of the game. It's hit and miss. Like some are good, some are bad. Now going more in depth into the game, let me take a look at my notes. Let's start with the pros. The first pro I can give are the acting is pretty damn good. Like I'm not even gonna talk. I'm not even gonna go into Ellen Page because like she just killed this role. Like is it's one of the best performances I've seen in a game. All right, I usually don't say that because you know it's a game. It's not you know like a movie. But I don't know. What they gave her like okay. I mean the script is kind of dodgy at some parts, but what they gave her she killed it. Like it. Okay, she was just very good in the role. Okay, that's all you need to know. Everyone, and besides, everyone has already said that, so I'm not even gonna go into that anymore. The other actors are also really good. Like Willem Dafoe he was actually very very good too, and it's kind of funny because like um the character he's playing I'm not used to really seeing. Like Willem Dafoe usually like I usually like him when he's playing these very insane roles like Green Goblin or that detective from Boondock Saints. What other movies? He was also an Antichrist. But I don't know. Like I feel like Willem Dafoe is one of those guys that he's at his best when he's like crazy. And it's weird seeing him in such this really calm character. And he does become crazy later on, but I like how normal he was in the beginning and in he was also very, pretty good with what he was given. I mean, he's Willem Dafoe. He's a good actor, and you know, also the other characters were pretty good. I don't really remember any character that I hated per se. Maybe Ryan. Everyone has their problems with Ryan, but I don't know. He wasn't that bad. Maybe the general, but because he was such a stereotypical asshole. But other than that, I mean, all the other characters were pretty cool. Um, let's see what else. Story. Okay, I'm gonna talk about the negatives of the story later, but the story overall is interesting, I guess. Like, uh, a lot of people I know drew comparisons to Carrie, and I agree that this is I feel like this story is kind of like what Carrie would be if Stephen King expanded it. If he didn't just like have, you know, Carrie die, like just play if you play the game and if you've seen Carrie, like they both have very similar stories. It's just the difference is Jodie's story, it she doesn't, you know, she continues on in her journey. Like you see, I mean, I don't really know what I'm getting at, but it's just like, um, never mind. Let's move on. Sorry, I'm very sorry. The story is just interesting. Okay. Um, not another good pro is the non-linear storytelling, and I feel like that's where some people might have a problem with the game, mainly because, you know, the whole point of, you know, choice-based game is that you make a choice and then you see the choice affect something in the story. And having it being non-linear, you might not see the immediate effect of your choice because, you know, you might be in Jodie teen years and you go back to your child years, but then you might be asking yourself, what did the choice I made when I was a teen, how did that affect the future? Like, why am I back in the past? And that could be a problem. I guess you can count that as a problem, but I feel like it's a pro for me, but more of a pro for me, because a lot of the missions, even though they're out of order, a lot of the missions don't are differ in terms of importance. Like there's some missions that happen in the future that aren't as important as missions that happen in the past. That's why it's non-linear. And I feel like that's good because if you play this game from a chronologically in order, it just doesn't feel right. Like it just feels like, okay, so really like you have this mission that reveals like a key part of Jodie's story, and then you have another mission where she's like, what's some examples? Like there's one where she was at a party, or there's one where she's raiding the embassy, or there's one where she's like training for the CIA. And I know the training mission is actually very important. It's just that if you played it in order, that would happen like later on, like near the, I guess, end of the game, when that's like something that you need to play near the beginning because it teaches you how to like play. So the nonlinear was fine for me, and my final pro was the Aiden missions are I almost said Aiden, sorry. The Aiden missions are pretty fun. Like it's fun just like going around as Aiden. I mean, how I see it, Aiden and Jody, like Jody's more for I guess those split decision type gameplay where if something happens you have to make a decision quickly, or and also for dialogue, while Aiden's more for like the puzzle gaming or the combat gaming. And I have more fun playing as Aiden, I guess, because I mean dialogue is fun and all, but I mean when it comes to actual, you know, gameplay, like, you know, as Aiden you get to like shoot stuff or like throw stuff around, you know. So yeah, those are my pros. Now my cons, unfortunately, I already mentioned the nonlinear storytelling. Like I said, you make a choice that you might not see the effect of until later on, and and also the nonlinear storytelling, it kind of kills some of the drama ish. Like it's hard to tell what all this is building up to. That's the main problem when it comes to nonlinear storytelling. Um, I mean, if you're someone like, I guess, like Quentin Tarantino or who else? Christopher Nolan, like people who can tell these kinds of like stories that aren't chronologically in order. You could do that, but you have to be careful. And this game, there's just some parts of the game where you're not so sure how this is all building up to the end. Like some missions that stick out. There's one, I feel like the main mission that everyone like refers to as a problem non-linear storytelling is the Navajo story. I like that mission, but when I was playing it, I wasn't so sure like how this had to do with anything that I did in the past or how it's going to affect future missions because once it happens, it sort of just like you just move on. See that's the problem with the non-linear storytelling. Like it it kills the basic like building up drama because or building up suspense because you don't know what it's building up to. Another problem is choices. And that's a huge problem in this kind of game because choices is emphasized. But I feel like a lot of the choices in this game, like at least in Heavy Rain, when you make a choice, um, when you make a choice, you can like immediately feel the effects, or games like The Walking Dead. But in this game, I feel like there's a lot of segments where you make a choice, doesn't really matter. Like, what's I mean, there are moments where it does matter, like major moments, like with Ryan, like the romances or who lives and dies at the end. But I feel like a lot of the minor choices doesn't really add up to anything. Like, there's one mission where I think you could heal this like homeless dude, but I'm not so sure how that affects anything at the end, because who knows, maybe it killed him if you don't heal him, or like it doesn't matter because you don't really he's not really he doesn't affect Jody's he's not a major character in Jody's story, you know. It's like there are some choices that you feel like if you don't it doesn't matter what choice you make because like it's following a main story. It's following like a set storyline and you're just like changing little details. And I mean that's fine if you're like if it's like a game like The Walking Dead, which is like episodic and it's not really like um what am I trying to say here? It's fine if it's following a main story, but I feel like there's not much divergence, if that makes sense. Like I feel like you it doesn't really alter a lot of the choices that you're making. And that's my main problem with the game, the choices. My other cons are my main problems with Quantic Dream in general. Like, this is also going back to my problems with like Fahrenheit. Like, my last two cons were the odd missions and odd story. And going back to my point about how this game was trying to do something different, but was kind of like a negative for it. When I say that is there are some moments in the game where they're trying to tell a story or like a sub story and it's just really like it feels out of place and it feels like they kind of just put it there because they were trying to do something like completely different. And examples of that could be like um the Navajo story, for example. Like it just feels like it happens like out of nowhere. And there's also another mission where she's like in an underwater base and she's trying to like infiltrate this like pseudo North Korean army. It's like there's just that's what I mean. Like in the beginning of the game, you kind of know where it's going. Like, okay, it's Jodie, and she has this like ghost floating around her, and she has to be examined by Willem Dafoe, the doctor, and you kind of see where it's going. But when you hit the teen years and she goes on to the CIA, that's where it just goes weird. Like they start going into like like I said, the Navajo mission, and then she has to go to like Africa, and then there's this like subplot about Willem Dafoe trying to bring his family back. It's just I feel like the story kind of falls apart because it gets a little too weird and a little too crazy that you stop believing it stops being suspenseful and more of just like well okay what's gonna happen next, you know. And I feel like that's just a problem with the storytelling. It's like I guess the that's why that's my main comparison between Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. At least Heavy Rain, they were focused on trying to make a story suspenseful, or believable, and also like grounded so that you can believe what's happening. Here, it's like they're trying to throw as much like crazy shit at you, because they are trying to push the limits as to what they can do with a story. And it just doesn't work at some parts. It just comes off as just really, really crazy. Uh, I don't, it sounds like I hate this game. I really don't. Like, I actually really, really like this game. It's just, it's not as good as I thought it would be. I think that's the main consensus among reviewers is that it's good. It's just not as good as we all expected it to be. Because there was actually a lot of build up to this. I mean, they got freaking like Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe, like two big name actors, to star in this game. And this game took a while to come out. And this is also, the follow up to the mega hit Heavy Rain, and and everyone expected that, oh, the story's gonna be so intense because like Ellen Page even said herself it's like a 2,000 page script, but in the end it was just like it was good, but it wasn't as good as we thought it would be. And I guess that's my final word on Beyond Two Souls. I would play it. I mean, like, I'm not saying don't play it at all. It's just it's it's good. It's just not great. Okay, let's leave it at that.